Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to be going into Parshas Matos. Okay? Parshas Matos starts off with the idea of making vows and promises and that we shouldn't violate them once we do. To understand this, we have to understand that when we make a vow, it's not just that we're making a vow to the walls and we are not held accountable for it. When we make a vow that we are not going to eat something or talk to someone or do something, we actually put our accountability not just in ourselves and not just in the people that we make the vow in front of or to. We make the vow to Hashem, and He is going to hold us accountable. As the Gemara says in Masechta Shabbos 32b, that Ba'avoin Nadarim, for the sin of making these vows in Nadarim, many bad things happen. The wife dies, kids die, many terrible things that happen because people violate their promises, their vows, their oaths. And we have to understand a little bit what's the correlation between the punishments and the vow. Usually you would say if you punch the wall, your hand's going to start hurting, right? And that's understandable. We see it's a cause and effect. But how do we see a cause and effect with this, me making a vow and violating it, and a wife dying, or a son or a child dying? That seems to be a little bit off, and we want to understand the cause and effect, the correlation between these two. And in order to get that, we'll have to dive in a little bit deeper. The first part of anything, in order to gain respect or in order to be a normal person, is we have to learn how to keep our word. Keeping our word isn't just when I make a promise and I shouldn't violate it. Keeping our word is when we say something, we say we're going to do something, we should follow through. We should go about doing it, not just saying, yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it, I'm the man, and nothing. It just slips your mind, you get busy with other things, or you actually didn't mean what you said, and it just falls away with the cracks. People are relying on you, and you're not coming through. That's one part about keeping your word. And another one is keeping your word. If somebody asks you to keep a secret or hold something there for them, you should keep your word and actually be there for them. Like a good therapist, a professional needs to gain the trust of the client for the client to be able to open up. Otherwise, usually a client who shows up first time and just opens up and spills everything, they never return. They just wanted to get whatever secrets they have off their heart, feel like they shared it so they could move on. But a true professional, someone who goes to a client who goes and really wants to help themselves, is going to find a professional, and they're going to find trust. They're going to gain each other's trust so that they know that this is a bond where our words are kept strong. The confidentiality is unbreakable, and everything is going to be kept between these walls between us two. And that's a very important thing. Keeping your word is a way of building trust and respect, as we started. So in any relationship that we have to learn how to be there for another person. We have to be there for somebody else in order for them to gain your trust, and in order for them to gain your trust. A relationship goes in two ways. You need to be able to say the things that you want, and they have to be able to say the things that they want. We have different types of relationships. We have relationships with friends, where when we show up, we bring along our personality and our quirkiness and how funny we are and how cute we are and all that. And that's just between these friends. But the closer you get to different people, the more you start giving of yourself. You start giving more of your secrets, more of your inner desires. And the closer you get to someone, with your spouse and even like really close people, you start sharing yourself intimately with knowledge that is within you and the things that you really wish and hope and dream for, and you share it with other people. Violating such a bond, violating such a relationship is a very, very tough thing, because the only reason people shared these things with you is because they gained your trust. And hopefully when they gained their trust, when they gained your trust, you were actually there for the right reasons. You weren't just spying around. But in any case, opening up and saying things that other people told you is very, very bad. The gossip doesn't just break down the person, it breaks down society as well, because society runs on trust. We have to know that we have people that we rely on. We have to know that we have people around us that keep us respected, and they keep our word properly, and they know that the things that we shared in confidentiality, keep it that way. And it's not meant for blackmail in the future. We have to know how to keep these relationships going. And the greatest relationship of all is with Hashem. And it's very hard for people to start off and saying, I trust Hashem, because we don't see Him. We have to be mindful that He's around us in order to start trusting Him. We have to start seeing Him throughout our life. When things are bad, when things are good, we have to start acknowledging Him to actually say, I see you. And as we live life and as life goes on, we start trusting Him more and more, because He's proven Himself to be trustworthy. When we were down and we davened, He came through. Did He come through exactly how I wanted, or did He come through in His own personal way that we didn't even expect? We thought salvation is going to come from XYZ, and it ended up coming from ABC, and it's all good. Hashem takes care of us, and we learn to gain His trust. And we have to remember not to betray Him in any way. Don't badmouth, chas v'shalom. Don't talk bad about Him, and of course, don't go around and cursing or doing things that go totally and betray Him and betray His trust. We have to know how to do that, and that's what we get into over here. Lo yachal devaro. If somebody makes a vow and a promise, you have to keep it. You have to keep it secure. You have to keep it safe. You have to make sure that you are actually in this trust bond. And now we have to take it up to another level. This whole idea of making a vow. What are we doing? If somebody says, I make a vow, I'm not going to eat this bread from now on, the reason is because they feel like they have a weakness in that point in their life. They feel like, I've been eating way too much, I've been gaining too much weight. Or another person makes a vow that I'm not going to be addicted to my phone anymore. I'm not going to be bad-mouthing other people, or whatever weakness a person has. The reason they do it is because they feel like, I have to put an end to it right now. I have to put a stop to my reckless behavior, and I have to take myself seriously and start moving forward in the proper way. And that's why we make a vow. We make a vow. Listen, I thought until now I'll take care of it, but the water has risen too high, and now I'm going to drown. So I have to stop the flooding, and I have to drain this entire swamp and get myself out of it and dry up and move forward. And we make those vows in order to better ourselves. So what if somebody would go and make a vow that I'm never going to speak to another person again? That person humiliated me, that person doesn't like me, they shamed me in front of so many people, they stole from me, or whatever the reason is. So you would say, oh, it's a good thing. They're distancing themselves from the people that are not good for them in their life. Yes, it's a good thing, technically. But the truth is, it's communication that actually brings us closer together. Running away from each other is only going to keep the distance. If you're going to make a vow that you're not going to eat certain bread for a while, every time you'll see that bread, you'll have a thought come into your mind and tell you, hey, you can't look at it, don't even touch it, don't even think about it, walk away, run away. All those thoughts are the burden of the vow. You just created a burden upon yourself that you have to acknowledge every time. You have to be aware of it at every moment in your day so that you don't end up violating this vow. If somebody has a secret, if somebody has something deep in their heart, and they're scared that they're going to be spilling it, they're going to be careful. I'm not going to drink any wine or alcohol. I don't want to be overtired, and I don't want to do things that may end up having my words taken into the context of my secret, because I don't want anybody to know about it. It's a big burden to carry. It's a lot on the heart of a person, a lot on the mind of a person, and a person needs to know how to deal with them. Making a vow is a very, very tough thing, because you're anchoring it down within yourself for a long period of time, and it's going to start burdening you. You need to find the proper people to talk to, the proper people to guide you through this problem, so that you don't have to make these vows, so that you could live a healthy life without creating such tight boundaries and around yourself, and such hardships and burdens and headaches for you to carry around with you wherever you go. And that's why we see, if somebody makes a vow, if a woman makes a vow, her husband could denounce it, could say that, oh, I don't want it, mufarlach, it's out. He could violate it for her and tell her it's no longer valid, it's void, and it's non-existent. Why is that? Why is the husband able to do that? Because if a woman has a problem she has to deal with, communication is the way to deal with it. Communication with a husband, sitting down and saying, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm going through. If the woman doesn't trust her husband, if there is no relationship over there, then find somebody else to speak to. Find a professional that can guide you through properly, not someone who's just going to listen and give you that hug. Find somebody who's going to accept you, listen to you, guide you, and have your mindset change in a way that you'll be able to deal with it properly, so you could go back to your spouse and work together and live together without this burden weighing down on you. And a yachid mumcha, someone who knows the halachas of nedarim. He could a rabbi. He could also void a vow that anybody made, just because he knows how to talk to you. He knows how to communicate. He opens you up and says, "What's going on?" And you learn to gain the trust with those people, the people that you are in relationships with. You have to learn how to gain trust, so that you don't end up making these vows that end up burdening you with all this secretive knowledge and all this pain and suffering that you're just trying to run away from. It's time to just confront the problem and say, I see I have a weakness, I see I have a problem, but from now on, I'm not going to be running. I'm going to be looking at it, and I'm going to say, I'm stronger than that, because I have the support in my life. I have the support of my spouse. I have the support of my rabbi. And, of course, I have the support of Hashem. And now we go back to the Gemara Masechta Shabbos. Why when we violate these vows and promises, why do we end up with such bad punishments? The reason is because the punishments that we were receiving about a wife dying or children dying, those things are because we should be communicating with them. We should be building our relationships with them, and instead of going and making vows. And by making such a vow and we end up violating them, we end up saying, okay, I thought I could do it on my own. You know what? You want to do it on your own? Go ahead. Now there won't be a wife around. Now there won't be any children around. There are so many things that happen that are directly connected to your vow. If you go and you violate something, Hashem is going to hold you accountable. So Hashem gave us a world. He gave us people surrounding us. He gave us an entire system of support that we could go and connect to, and they should be there for us. And we should find our people. We should find our therapists, find our rabbis, find our wives and husbands and children and friends and family, and even strangers. Just find the people to talk to. Have your heart unburdened from the problems that you're dealing with, and learn how to live without making any vows or promises, just by being the real person you are, facing your weaknesses, facing the struggles that you deal with, and acknowledging that you are strong enough to get through this. There's nothing wrong with you, and you'll be fine, and everything will end up good. So, as we say, may Hashem help us. We should all be able to find our true meaning in life and get through all of our hurdles and obstacles throughout it. My name is Lemmer. I appreciate you joining, taking your time to listen to this. I hope you gain some insight and there's some practical application to your life. I'm a hypnotherapist for mindset change. If you're dealing with things in your life that you would like to uncover and see why you're reacting to certain things, why you're just feeling like as if you're living on autopilot and it's just one big blur of life, just reach out to me. My email is lemmerhypno@gmail.com, lemmerhipno@gmail.com, and you could check out my books on Amazon, Who Am I, Tehillim Legacy Journal, The Poet's Journal. Yeah, looking forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful Shabbos.